फक्त एक मिनट हे करून द्या. स्टार्ट स्ट्रीमिंग आणि ओके yeah, I'm starting the stream, and just to recall, in the last lecture we have seen हे एकदा बघ ना, मला वाचता येत नाही मेसेज. मग नाही खूप छोटं येतात मेसेजेस. हां नंतर बघ, आत्ता नको, आजचा सेशन काही प्रॉब्लेम नाही. ओके सो just confirm that the focus is on this thing, online students. Can anyone, and just also that you are able to hear. Hello. Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Okay, so let us begin with the lecture today. Last time when we stopped, okay, we were discussing the demand function, and let me rewrite that demand function as quantity demanded is a function of own price, okay, income and price of related goods. Okay, and we have defined one or two very important things. Okay, one is that if only price increases, okay, all else constant, okay, I'm just all else constant, then we know that, okay, you're not able to see the screen. Thank you for telling me that. Just ensure that हे का नाही प्रोजेक्ट होते. परत एकदा करावं लागेल मला. नाही मला वाटतं परत सर्च हे इथे तो हे नाही दाखवते. हा हे नाही दाखवते. जस्ट वेट अ मिनिट. हे परत एकदा शेअर करतो मी. नाही ऑलरेडी शेअर्ड आहेत. परत एकदा करतो. मे बी त्याच्यात काहीतरी एरर झाला असेल. आयपॅडमध्येच केलं ना. Okay. Oh, okay, fine, sure. Okay, now you are able to see. Thank you so much for telling me. Okay. Okay, thanks. Yeah, if there is any issue, please ensure that you point it out, because I would not know. Okay, so we have seen that when price increases, quantity demanded will decrease. Okay, and this we have said is called contraction of demand. Okay, all of you fine with this? This is called contraction of demand, and all else remaining same. If price decreases, then the quantity demanded will increase. This is called extension of demand. Okay, all of you agreeing with this? And you know that this thing can be shown with the help of our diagram. Price and quantity demanded. We have a downward sloping demand curve. Okay, this demand curve, if there is any increase in price, this movement is called contraction. Okay, and if price were to fall, say from here to here, then this change is called extension. Have you all got this? Can I proceed? This is fine with all online students also? Okay, great. So yeah, but remember, this may look very simple, but many times this is very critical point. Okay, so yeah, let's proceed from here, and let's discuss the next thing, that we have defined two important ideas. One is when income increases, okay, and demand for a product increases, okay, this is income increases and quantity demanded also increases. Demand increases, okay, fine. Now if that happens, we say that the product is a normal good, okay. You have to memorize this definition. It often comes in examinations. So for normal good, if income falls, quantity demanded, what should happen? Should it go up or down? Can you tell me? What should happen? Down, correct. It should also go down. So this is the idea of a normal good, okay. Now imagine this is a product, okay. This is a product whose demand curve originally is like this, P, and quantity demanded, I will label this as D1. If consumers' income increases, okay, all other things remaining constant, income increases and the good is normal, the good is normal, then what happens? This entire demand curve will shift to the right, okay. The entire demand curve shifts to the right and this increase, this is called increase in demand, okay. Or contrawise, what would happen if income drops? Can you all draw the diagram? If income drops, what would happen? And beginning situation is that the good is normal, okay, normal good. I have a demand curve like this, D0, and income has decreased. What will be the new demand curve? Can you all try to draw that new demand curve? Can you all draw the new demand curve? Okay, whenever you are doing economics, ensure that you draw a lot of diagrams. That is the best way of learning the subject. Okay, online students, have you completed? If income, it's a normal good, so income has fallen, so the demand will, what will happen? Will it increase or will it decrease? Yeah? Okay. Let's wait for one of the online students to answer. Okay. Yes, absolutely correct. That's very good. And it will decrease, meaning the original demand curve is here and the new demand curve will be something like this. Okay. So D1 is the new demand curve where the demand has decreased. Have you all got this? Okay. So let us write one important idea, that what is a increase and what is a decrease in demand. And this you have to all memorize, okay? Remember, increase in demand. in demand. And of course, contrawise also decrease in demand we can cite when factor other than price changes and consumers buy more at any given price. Okay, and consumers buy more at any given price, then we say there is an increase in demand. Then we say there is an increase in demand. Okay, I would be very happy if you write this down or you have to memorize it in some way. When a factor other than price changes and consumers buy more at any given price, we say there is an increase in demand. Okay, I'm showing this graphically. Original demand curve is D0. Okay, due to some factor, maybe like an increase in income we have seen, consumers are willing to buy more of the good at any given price. This shift from D0 to D1 is called increase in demand. This is called an increase in demand. Okay, I want all of you to do one step now. I have written down what is increase in demand and drawn a diagram. I want you all to write what is decrease in demand. So write what is decrease in demand. What is the meaning of decrease in demand? And first thing is write down and then draw the graph. Okay, I am giving you some time to do that. Okay, once you write the decrease in demand, please draw the graph. Draw a graph which shows decrease in demand. Okay, have you completed? Online students, have you written? Done? Okay, so let me read what, yeah, online students, have you completed? Okay, good, good. Let's wait for one or two more students to respond. Okay, good, good. ठीक है. Most of you have completed. Let's proceed. So let me just read what this would mean. When a factor other than price, have you all written this? When a factor other than price changes and consumers buy less of a good at any given price, then we say there is a decrease in demand. Okay, did you write this something like this? And the diagram would have been something like this. This is demand and you have a decrease in demand. Let us say, I'll show it with the red line. So okay, see, I have to label. Okay, D0 is the old demand curve, D1 is the new demand curve. Have you all got this? Excellent. So just two more things I want you to consider. In the last lecture, we also described related goods, okay, prices of related goods. Okay, so for example, let us take tea as our commodity. You can think of any other commodity, no problem. Tea as a commodity. Okay, what are goods which are substitutes for tea? What products we can think of as substitutes for tea? Yeah, correct. Very good. Thanks. So just think coffee is a substitute for tea. Okay. So if price of coffee, okay, price of coffee increases. Okay, if price of coffee increases, what would be the impact on demand of tea? Quantity demanded of tea. If price of coffee goes up, what will happen to the demand for tea? Yeah, I want you to use the word increase, decrease, because it's a factor other than the own price. What will happen? It will cause increase in demand, right? So when the price of coffee increases, the demand for tea will increase. Absolutely correct. Okay. And think of commodities which are used along with tea. So let us say complements for tea. Okay, one such product which is a complement for tea in India is sugar. Okay, generally people have tea with sugar. Okay, unless they are diabetics who avoid drinking tea with sugar. So what will happen to when the price of sugar increases? Now remember, tea is used along with sugar. So more is the price of sugar, costlier will become tea. So when the price of a complementary good increases, the effect on demand for tea will be what? Will it increase or decrease? Sugar ची cost वाढली है. So it's more costly now for you to drink tea. It would tend to, or think, if you are thinking about sugar in a very different way, think of milk. Most of us are drinking tea with milk, right? So if the price of milk goes up, what will happen? Will the demand for tea go up or down? Decrease. Na? Are you all able to see this? Price of tea will decrease. Okay. Yeah, online students, will you agree with this? If the price of milk or price of sugar were to go up, demand for tea will decrease. So we can understand complements and substitutes when we study the price effects. Okay, I'm not drawing the diagram, but if price of milk goes up and we are talking about demand for tea, if the original demand curve was like this D naught, with the increase in price of tea, milk, this demand curve will shrink down. Okay, it will become something like D1. Samajh like how to make these shifts? Okay, the real skill of learning economics, let me tell you, is you have to be able to immediately consider factors which affect demand and later on supply, and how it is shifting the demand and supply curve, and what effect it will have on market price. तो ये पॉइंट समझ में आया क्या सबको? कैन आई प्रोसीड? Is it, can I take this as given that you know what are the main determinants of demand for demand? Okay. So let's explore the meaning of the word market. Okay. We always say that market has two entities. Who are they? There are always two entities. Yeah, Ishwari, what you want me to tell? Like if there is an increase in price of milk or sugar, this will cause a decrease in demand for tea. That is what I meant. Have you got this? Let us just wait for the online students to make their comments and then we'll proceed. You all have got this? Okay. No, yeah, Prerna, absolutely no problem that this is a necessary good, but even then, you know, there would be a decrease in demand in the sense that it becomes more costly. Where people were drinking say 4 cups of tea, they may drink only 2 cups of tea. Okay, even though it is a necessary good, people have limited amount of money to spend. Na? Are you getting that? Okay, so I'll tell you one basic example. I'll tell you in India. For many people it is important to take medicine and good nutrition. Okay, it is a necessity for good life. Yet in India you'll find many people are not taking medicines or they avoid taking vitamin supplements. Why? Because they are very expensive. So even though they are necessity, people are not buying it. Okay, so it's not like necessities necessarily mean people will not cut down their demand. They are price sensitive. Okay, for example, even milk prices. If milk prices go up, many poor households reduce their consumption of milk, and that is not good nutritional outcome for our country. Okay, let's come back to this. Okay, you all know what is the meaning, broadly everybody knows what is the meaning of market because you are all commerce students. Tell me 2 sides to the market. Yes, there is always a buyer and there will always be a seller. Okay, and we have just now seen that the demand for goods comes from buyers. Okay, if demand comes from buyers, what comes from the sellers? Demand comes from the buyers. Okay, yes, yeah, already I think online somebody has given the answer. What would this be? Supply, correct, absolutely. Yeah, fine, very good. Yeah, Prerna, yeah, we'll come back to this. So now remember the most fundamental thing in economics. These are the two forces, we say demand and supply, and they come together, demand and supply comes together to determine price and quantity. These are two fundamental things that get determined in every market. What is the price and what is the quantity? And you have to remember one thing, that this demand and supply jointly determine. Okay, there's no one which determines, but they jointly determine price and quantity. Okay, now we have seen the demand curve, that is something like this: price and quantity. The demand curve is like this. Okay, fine. This is because buyers are willing to pay less as the price goes up, and they are willing to pay more when the price is less. So we get something like a downward sloping demand curve. Are you all fine with this? Okay. Now, how do you think the supply curve works? How does the supply curve work? What do you think? Okay, before that, let me just come back to this demand. We saw one thing, demand is willingness backed by ability to pay. Okay, that determines demand. Okay, whereas what is supply? Okay, it is the willingness and, okay, इधर and के जगह मैंने plus लिखा है, so same thing, and willingness and ability to sell. Ability to sell is called supply. Okay, and generally remember one thing, the motivation for supply is profit maximization. Okay, we say that all the suppliers are trying to maximize profit, and because of that they are willing to supply more at any given price. Okay, so let us write the law of supply. Law of supply, just write this. The law of supply states that other things remaining constant. other things remaining constant, if price increases, other things remaining constant, if the price increases, then quantity supply also increases. Okay. When price increases, the quantity supplied will also increase. Okay, and write another term, and vice versa. That is, if price decreases, then the quantity supplied will also decrease. Yes, all of you agreeing with this? You can just write the law of supply See, I'm a great fan of you creating shortcuts to write this. So that will save our time. So LOS, law of supply. Okay, more such acronyms you invent, easier it will be for you to write and remember also. The law of supply states that, or is derived from profit maximization behavior. The law of supply is derived from profit maximization behavior of firms. Okay, firms are, just remember, firms are what you call as sellers. Is that fine? It is derived from the profit maximizing behavior of sellers. So let us put it like this. Okay, can you all draw the graph of quantity supplied? Just can you draw, like I'll draw the demand curve. This is the demand curve, not the supply curve. Can you all draw the supply curve? Other things remaining constant, when price increases, quantity supplied is increasing. So what kind of a graph we will get? What kind of a graph we will get? Done? Have you been able to draw? Will that graph be upward sloping or downward sloping? Upward sloping, right? It will go, as you go from left to right, it is moving up. So could you all draw a supply curve like this? S. Online students, were you able to draw this? Great, fine. So this, keep this diagram, I'll come back to this diagram, demand and supply, but let me go back to supply and ask you one important question. This is, sorry, let me not draw demand curve. Okay. Label the axis P and Q. this is quantity supplied. Okay, so if I show something like this, price has gone up, okay, and the quantity supplied has also increased. Okay, this movement, okay, this movement in supply curve is called extension of supply. It's called extension of supply. Okay, when price increases and quantity supplied increases, this movement is called extension of supply. Okay, quickly draw one more diagram, small diagram, or if you have got two different colored pens on the same diagram, can you draw the contraction of supply? Contraction. Okay, suppose this is the price and this is the quantity supplied, and quantity supplied. If price decreases, quantity supplied also decreases. Price decreases, quantity supplied decreases. This movement is called contraction of supply. Okay, have you all got this? Extension of supply and contraction of supply. Okay, very good. Let me just come back to that diagram that we had drawn. Suppose we are talking about the market for whatever commodity. Okay, you can talk about market for t-shirts, cars, whatever market you want to say. Suppose we have a demand curve which is downward sloping like this, D0, and we have an upward sloping supply curve like this. Okay, can you tell me where the economy in this market, what would end up being the price of the product and what will be the quantity supplied? In this market, the demand curve is D0, the black line. Supply curve is the red line which is going up. I'm asking you a question. Can we tell from this diagram what would be the price and quantity in this market? Can you all think? Is there any way we can tell for this market what would be the price and quantity? Yes. Did you all get this? Have you got it, guys? Okay. So you can think of a, okay, online students, anyone has got an answer? What will be the price which will settle down in the market? Suppose I were to think like the price is here, P1. Okay, so from P1 mark a horizontal line like this. Wherever it cuts demand, this would be the quantity demanded. Okay, and this amount would be the quantity supplied. Okay, which is more? Supply is more or demand is more? at price P1, which is more? Demand is more or supply is more? Supply. Can you all see this? This is the quantity supplied and this is the quantity demanded. So this is a situation of excess supply, and in a situation of excess supply, what happens? More is being supplied than is being purchased. So this puts a downward pressure on prices, and you will end up at an equilibrium only when price is such that quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. Only when the equilibrium price is such that quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied, we will be in an equilibrium position. Did you all get this? समझ में आई है? Okay, so think like this. What would happen in a situation like this? Okay, this is price and this is quantity. Okay, not just demand. This is quantity. Okay, this is demand curve. This is the demand curve, and let us say this is the supply curve. This is the demand curve and this is the supply curve. What would be the equilibrium price and what would be the equilibrium quantity? We know is here. But suppose if price was less than the equilibrium price, suppose इथे price. Okay, the price was somewhere here. Okay, suppose this was the price at P dash. What has happened? This is the quantity supplied and this is the quantity demanded. What is more? D1 and let me say S1. Which is more? Demand is more than supply. This creates a situation of shortage. There is more demand than there is supply, and in such a situation market price tend to go up till you reach a point where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So just remember one thing, this is one of the greatest theorems in social sciences, not just in economics, that if you look at any market, there is demand and on the other side there is supply. Demand is downward sloping, supply is upward sloping. Okay, the equilibrium is reached only when the quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So this is P dash and this quantity is Q dash. Okay, if the price is above this, anywhere here, it will be a situation of excess supply. Supply is more than demand, and this will tend to put a downward pressure on prices. If price happens to be anywhere less than equilibrium price, okay, then quantity demanded is more than quantity supplied, and there will be a pressure on prices to go up, and there is no pressure on the price to either increase or decrease. So that is the equilibrium. Okay, equilibrium in market is where quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. Okay, so something like P dash what we have, let me write it like this: q d when the price is p dash is equal to qs when the price is p dash. Quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. This is called the equilibrium in the market. Fine. Have you all drawn this diagram? Ensure that you have drawn the diagram. And also write a condition. Hello, 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 hello. Are you able to hear me? Online students, are you able to hear me? Is my voice audible? Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Yeah. Hello. 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 Can you hear me? Okay. We'll take a 5 minute break. Okay. All of you take a 5 minute break and just fix this up. 5 minute break. You can hello students, 5 minute break and then we'll resume this lecture. Okay. सर हे बघा ना ते माईक चालत नाही. तुम्ही बॅटरी पण चेंज करून पाहिली ना तर ते नाही होते. हॅलो हॅलो काय झालं आणखी बॅटरी तर दाखवते हॅलो हां हॅलो हॅलो मी घेऊन जातोय खाली त्यांना म्हणून बघा काय हां ठेवायचं इथे ठेव हां दोन टाकले त्यांना असं दाखवत त्यांना म्हणून ते चालते पण त्याचा आवाजच येत नाही तुझं डायग्राम कशी काढायचं अप्लाय करतो एक दाखवलं इक्विलिब्रियम म्हणजे काय बॅलन्स हॅलो हॅलो
बंद केलं का तुम्ही?
बंद केलं त्याचा आवाज खूपच हे होतो काय कुठे
थांबा करा चालू.
ओके
हॅलो हॅलो
आवाज खूप वाढलाय तुमचा.
वाढला होता मी वाढवला होता
हॅलो हॅलो हां चालेल एवढं
ते काय होतं माहिती का कनेक्शन लूज पडतं त्याचं.
ओ अच्छा मग मला पण तसंच जाणवलं कारण का ते बॅटरी प्रॉब्लेम नव्हता बॅटरी दाखवत होती
कनेक्शन लूज पडतं.
मॅडम थँक्यू सो मच तुम्हाला ऑल द वे वर यावं लागलं
नाही कधीच नाही. फक्त एक आजचा दिवस ॲडजस्ट करा उद्या येऊन जा.
ओके थँक्यू
थोडा बदलही नाही ठेवलं.
हां
हॅलो हॅलो हॅलो
Okay, online students, have you come back? Yeah, hello, online students, are you there? Okay, thank you, Prerna, and I hope the others are also there. So let's proceed with what we have been doing. We have drawn a demand equilibrium. Okay, so equilibrium in a market is where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. Okay, just understand this very important mechanic. If price is more than equilibrium price, if price is more than equilibrium price, then quantity supplied is more than quantity demanded, and therefore there is a pressure on price to fall. Okay, and vice versa. Manje if the price is less than equilibrium price, quantity supplied is less than quantity demanded, and there is a pressure on prices to rise. So equilibrium is where there is a balance between demand and supply. ये समझ में आया क्या? Can I proceed? Have you all got this idea? Very good, thank you. So let's write down when, under what conditions you can get an equilibrium. So write this: market equilibrium, the market equilibrium where, okay, market equilibrium where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. Okay, this kind of a demand curve that we have drawn. Quantity demanded and quantity supplied. This is the equilibrium price and this is the equilibrium quantity. Okay, market equilibrium where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied is generally the case when market competition, is perfect. Okay, a market equilibrium where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied is the general case when market competition is perfect. Okay, let us write down conditions of perfect competition. Conditions of perfect competition. Okay, conditions of perfect competition. Okay, large numbers of buyers and sellers. Okay, large number of buyers and sellers. Okay, second, homogeneous product. Homogeneous product. Okay, just I'm not sure whether the E is there. Homogeneous product. Okay, homogeneous means the product is identical. Identical, or you can say perfect substitutes of each other. Products, okay, with rival firms. Okay, I mean, just suppose you are buying rice. It really doesn't matter to you which farmer you buy the rice from. Okay, the quality of rice is very similar whether you buy from farmer A or farmer B. So there are large number of buyers and sellers. The product is homogeneous, and the third condition is free entry and free exit. There is free entry and free exit. Okay, and the fourth condition that is required for perfect competition is that there is perfect information. There is perfect information about the product with buyers and sellers. There is perfect information about the product with the buyers and sellers. Okay, so this is also very important information. There is perfect information about the product with the buyers and sellers. So when all these four conditions are satisfied, we say that the market competition is perfect. The market structure is called perfect competition. COMPETITION. समझ में आया क्या ये perfect competition क्या है? Large number of buyers and sellers, yeah, can you all write that? Rewrite from memory what are the four conditions for perfect competition? Large number of buyers and sellers, that's the first condition. Second condition is product is homogeneous or very similar products, perfect substitutes. Third, free entry and free exit. And the fourth is the product that is being sold is known in all its features like price and other features to the buyers and sellers. That is called perfect information. Okay, just remember this, you have to memorize. Okay, these are the conditions for perfect competition. When these conditions are satisfied, the equilibrium that we get, okay, price and quantity, we have a downward sloping demand curve, upward sloping supply curve. The equilibrium that we get is PE, and the equilibrium quantity that we get is QE. So this equilibrium, price and quantity, is what is called as market equilibrium. It's called a market equilibrium under perfect competition. It's called a market equilibrium under perfect competition. Did you all get this? Okay. So we of course have to deal a lot more with this perfectly competitive equilibrium. Okay. Just write down the term market structure. Market structure in economics means the number of buyers, sellers, okay, and their relative size distribution, okay, and their relative size distribution. These factors determine what is called as the market structure. Okay, so if you look at what we have written right now, we have seen equilibrium under perfect competition. Okay, but that's not the only equilibrium that we can get. At the other end of perfect competition, you get a situation which is called monopoly. Okay, can you write what is a monopoly market structure? Please write what is a monopoly market structure. I'll tell you, but you try to do it on your own. Prerna, can you hear me right now? Am I audible right now? I was not speaking just now. Okay. Yeah, I had given a break for you to write what is monopoly. In case you have not written, let us write monopoly is a market structure with one or single seller. It's a market structure with single seller. It's a market structure with single seller, or it is a dominant seller, or there is a dominant seller. Okay, it is called a monopoly situation. Write two examples for this. Railways in India. Okay, all of you know who owns and runs the railways? Government of India. There is a department called Department of Railways. Okay, तो पूरा departmental undertaking है, that is called railways. Correct. So that is a single seller market. Got it? Now, okay, in India it is run only by government, but internationally there are private firms which run railways. So it is not necessarily a monopoly. या इससे भी अच्छा एग्जाम्पल, एक समय इंडिया में आपको अगर फ़ोन करना था तो एक ही फ़ोन सर्विस अवेलेबल था, वो कौन सा था? मे बी व्हेन योर पेरेंट्स वर यंग, दैट टाइम देयर वाज ओनली वन फोन that was available. Yes, which company was providing telephones service? No, not the handset, I'm saying the service. In India, there was only one company which was producing BSNL, correct. BSNL and its affiliates. Okay, तो ये monopoly था और किसी को license ही नहीं था. Now you have multiple sellers. Okay, Reliance is there, Vodafone is there, IDI, no, which is Airtel. तीन चार companies there which are providing with. Are you getting this? Okay. Now just write. No, not only that. Even if you think Microsoft, which produces the operating systems, okay. So world over, most of the PCs have Microsoft operating system. So there are companies which sell operating system. It's not that only Microsoft does, but Microsoft is the dominant seller. Okay, Microsoft is the dominant seller. So these are all examples of monopoly. आया समझ में? Okay, just write one variation in this monopoly. Some situations for greater efficiency, there is a need to have only one seller. There is a need to have only one seller. Okay. Then this condition is natural monopoly. This condition is a natural monopoly. Okay. देखो, अगर दो रेलवे कंपनीज आए तो two companies will start digging the roads and they will put two different rail networks. That will amount to duplicating the cost. So in the case of railways, it makes sense to have only one seller, only one company which will provide all rail services. So in that sense, railways is a natural monopoly. Yeah, देखो, municipal corporation is the only one who provides tapped water. Correct? क्योंकि it requires pipelines to be dug, maintained. ये सारा अगर दो तीन companies को दिया तो every day some new company will start digging the roads and constructing their own pipelines. That will create a chaos. So such conditions, it is better to have only one firm. So this market is called as a natural monopoly. Did you all get this? Online students, have you got this? Monopoly and also what is a natural monopoly? Ye condition. Okay, thanks. Let me move ahead. Okay, so we have now seen two market structures which are opposite of each other: perfect competition and monopoly. Okay, we required to learn also two more market structures, you know. One is oligopoly. I'm drawing it closer towards monopoly. Okay, oligopoly, and another one which is called monopolistic forms. Okay, so monopolistic competition. See, the spelling is different from monopoly and its meaning is also totally different. Okay, so we have seen what is perfect competition, we have seen what is monopoly. Now write down what is a oligopoly. Oligopoly is a market structure where a few large firms dominate the market. Few large firms dominate the market. Okay, a few large firms. Okay, examples. Okay, yeah, okay. Oligopoly is a market structure where a few large firms dominate the market. Okay, most of the markets are like this. Okay, oligopoly. Get me the names of some of the major car sellers in the country. Mahindra, very good. Mahindra, Tata. सगळ्यात मोठी कार कंपनी कुठली आहे इंडियाची? Correct. Maruti. Then we have many foreign companies. Okay, but their share is not very large. Like we have Volkswagen, Skoda. हे असे आहेत पण त्यांचं मार्केट शेअर छोटे आहेत, एवढं जास्त नाही आहेत. So Hyundai is one of the big players. So only 5-6 players are there in the market. Okay, for mobile service providers, telecom operators कोण आहेत इंडियामध्ये? सर्व्हिस ऑपरेटर्स. जिओ. ओके. एअरटेल. VI. ओके. आणि BSNL. So you have only 4 or 5 companies. They are dominating the entire market. So most of the industrial capital you will find is characterized by oligopoly kind of firms. They are like what you can call as oligopolies. Have you all got this? Okay. Monopolistic firms. Okay, online students, have you got this 3 market structures so far? We have first described what is perfect competition. Okay, thank you very much. Second we discussed was monopoly. Third market structure we have discussed is oligopoly. And the fourth market structure, which is very interesting, write down, it is a monopolistic market. Monopolistic market. Okay. Monopolistic market has large number of sellers, okay, selling differentiated products. Differentiated products. Okay, large number of sellers selling differentiated product. Okay, I'll tell you, and you have to write your own examples here. Suppose a family is deciding to go out for dinner. Okay, now you can think from wherever you live, wherever location you live, the family is going out for a dinner. How many places they can go for dinner? It will definitely be more than 15-20 options that they will have. Depending upon transport they have, they can even have got more than that. So you have very large number of sellers. Okay, some restaurants may be offering Indian food, some may be offering continental, or they may be differentiated according to price. Somebody may be providing budget food, others may be having a very good ambience and service, but then the charge will also be more. So each seller, that restaurant, is differentiating their product from the other sellers. Such markets are called monopolistic markets. Okay, so the number of sellers are large, they are selling differentiated products. Okay, see, it can happen that if a seller is very successful, he may have a large market, but still there are many competitors. Okay, like so have you got this? Restaurants. Okay, I don't know how many of you read novels. Does any one of you read novels? No, you don't have time. Okay, but if you were to read novels, there are literally hundreds and thousands of authors who have written novels. So you have so much options you can read. Okay, so even like this would be called as differentiated product. Okay, can you think of some example of a differentiated product which is offered by large number of sellers? कुठला पण business, online students, any one of you can think of a market which is monopolistic, where there are large number of sellers and each one has differentiated their product. Okay, but educational institutes होऊ शकतं, but they could be more like oligopoly का रे, 2-3च colleges असतात एकेका एरियामध्ये. If you consider private colleges, yes, then there are 10-12 colleges where students can register. So that would be an example of monopolistic competition. Very good. Yes, it can be. Like that, think of at least one example. Yes, that also has a huge number of options and varieties that are available. Clothing, okay, apparel. Barabar hai. Anybody can think of another example? Restaurant, novels, apparels. Okay, you're getting the hang of it. What are monopolistic markets? Electronics. Yeah, Prerna, can you give me more example? What exactly you mean? What kind of a product? Anybody can tell me what kind of product? Okay, think like when the last example I'll give you. How many sweet marts are there in the city? Sweet marts or halwai? कितने दुकान रहते हैं? Almost every corner means or a major locality will have one sweet mart, correct? Isn't it? And everybody is differentiating their products. But if you are in Pune, what is so special about Chitale products? So they have specialized food like Bakarwadi. They advertise like they never use any synthetic chemicals in their food products. Always they are hygienic. So and they have been running that business for 50-60 years now. So they have maintained credibility. So that is called product differentiation. Okay, you can buy the same sweet mart from any of them, but each seller is offering you a unique combination of taste, cleanliness. Okay, that is called monopolistic competition. Did you all get this? Okay, fine. Just do one small exercise. Right now I'm moving this up. You try to make a memory recall of what are the main market structures. What are the main market structures in economics? Oh, no, bagunna hai सांगायचं. Try to recall from memory. Yeah, online students, you also try to write it down without looking back at the notes that we have written. Make a recall of the 4 market structures. Yes. Then these are all market structures after perfect competition are imperfect. But what are their names? Monopolistic exara, yes. Monopoly and oligopoly, correct. Very good. Yes, Prerna, very good. So just remember, practice this till they don't become a part of your nature, because many questions in economics are along market structures. Perfect competition, monopolistic competition, then oligopoly, and right now we saw monopoly. Okay, and the easiest and the most commonly used market structure is the perfect competition. Okay, so there's one more topic that I want to do. See, because there's no maths lecture today, I'll be continuing with economics. So, but before I start the new topic on elasticity, I just want to give you a 5-minute break. Okay, then around 25-30 minutes we'll discuss what is elasticity of demand, and then we can stop for the day. Okay, so exactly in 5 minutes you all come back and we'll resume our discussion. Okay. Online students, have you heard this? A 5-minute break and then we will discuss another topic. Have you understood what we have discussed so far, online students? Okay, good, good. Take a 5-minute break, exactly, and then we will begin. Okay.
एकच लेक्चर जरा जास्त होतं का रे? एकच लेक्चर जरा जास्त होतं का 3 तास? या म्हणून मी ब्रेक देतो ना, कंटिन्यू.
Okay, online students, are you there? Can we start? Okay, see, when we started, yeah, thanks. And when we have started, we discussed demand, okay, and after discussing demand, we have seen movement along demand curve, and we have seen shift in demand curve. Shift in demand curve, that is what is increase and decrease, and we have seen contraction and extension of demand. Then I have described supply. Okay, for supply we have seen movement. Okay, what is extension and what is contraction along supply curve. But we did not discuss what factors determine shift in supply curve. Okay, that is a small topic, but I want to do it now. Then we have seen market structure. Okay, we have not done everything, but we have seen market structure, and we have defined 4 types of markets: perfect competition. Okay, then we have seen monopoly, we have seen oligopoly, and the last market structure that we saw was monopolistic competition. Okay, and I'll come back to this more later. Okay, but the simple demand supply equilibrium that we have studied is applicable to perfect competition. When you have large number of buyers and sellers, homogeneous product, free entry and free exit, and there is perfect information. Okay, that is what we have seen so far, and now we are looking at I will just try to complete in today's lecture shifts in supply curve. Okay, so okay, let us write down determinants of supply. Okay, first we have written down is price. Okay, what is the law of supply? Yes, law of supply. It comes from sellers, other things remaining constant. When price increases, then what happens? Quantity supplied also increases. Okay, this is your law of supply, and vice versa, meaning if price falls, quantity supplied also falls. This first thing is called extension of supply. This is called contraction of supply. Did you all get this? Now, other factors which determine supply are price of inputs. Okay, so what is the most commonly used input in production process? Raw material आहे, बरोबर. अजून काय वापरला जातं? yes, I will just say wage rate. Okay, so price of raw material, price of wage, and other inputs, oil, energy that gets used in production of goods and services. So what happens whenever the price of input increases, other things remaining same, other things remaining same, what happens? When the price of input has gone up, the quantity supplied will decrease. Okay, because suppliers will make less profit, and therefore there is an inverse relationship between price of inputs and quantity supplied. Did you get this logic? Okay, now just like this, another factor, let us write. Improvement in technology. As time progresses, most of the business employ better and better technology. Okay, so when technology improves, what will happen to supply? Supply will increase. Generally, technology improves the supply. Improvement in technology. Okay. Increase in tax, what will happen? Very good. Increase in tax will cause, tax goes up, it will tend to decrease supply. Okay, and increase in tax, increase in inputs. Okay, generally increase, more is the time available, greater will be the supply. So long run supply or with time supply will increase. Okay, so just like demand, there are these multiple determinants of supply. Okay, and just like, say for example, if this was the input, if suppose this was the price and this was the quantity supplied, so there's an upward relationship between price and quantity supplied. If suppose this product was very energy intensive and there is an increase in cost of fuel becomes more expensive. So what will happen, at each price, firm is willing to sell less. Okay, at each price the firm is willing to sell less. So this will cause a decrease in supply. So write this: decrease in supply is a left shift, in supply curve. Decrease in supply is a left shift in the supply curve. Okay, let me draw another supply curve. Think like a tire company, okay, which manufactures and sells tires, and you have an upward sloping supply curve. Okay, now if supply, so suppose rubber, this is supply of tires, okay, and rubber prices decrease. Rubber prices decrease. Now remember, main raw material in making tires is rubber. अगर रबर की प्राइस कम होती है तो टायर कंपनी का प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी ज़्यादा हो जाएगी. सो एट ईच प्राइस they are willing to sell more. Okay, so you know what will happen if this was the old supply curve, they will be willing to supply more at each price. So ये curve ऐसे shift हो जाएगा S prime T. So supply of tires will increase. Got it? I think this should be on page number 40, 39, 40 of your study material. Okay. Fine. Increase and decrease in supply. Have you got it? Okay, so now we will do what is called as comparative static analysis. Okay, that is from one equilibrium position, we will look at the new equilibrium position. Okay, so let's try to do that in a competitive market. Suppose I have a demand curve, and okay, let me draw in the same line supply curve. Okay, now what will be the impact? What will be the impact? The original equilibrium is here at E. Okay, what will be the effect? I want you all to draw a case where demand is constant, that is, it does not change, but supply increases. What happens if the supply increases and demand remains constant? So I'll show you this case. So what has happened? Supply increases, so that is a shift to the right. Okay, so I'll have to draw a new supply curve. Okay, something like this, S dash. Okay, now the new equilibrium is where demand and supply curve intersects. So D intersects with S prime. So this is the new equilibrium position, E dash. At E dash, what has happened? Quantity has increased. What we have is quantity has increased and price has decreased. Got it? Is the graph clear? Okay. So you draw now the B situation. Demand remains constant. Demand is constant and supply decreases, meaning there is a left shift. So start with a case like this, P and quantity. You have a demand curve like this, which is not changing. Supply is like this. Now we are told that the new supply curve decreases. So draw the graph something like this. Decrease means there's a left shift. Decrease means a left shift. Where will be the new equilibrium? The first equilibrium was here. Where is the new equilibrium? Intersection of the red line, S1 and D curve, correct? So it will be this point. Okay, tell me what has happened to the price and quantity. What has happened to price and what has happened to quantity? Yes. Can you all see this? Quantity has decreased and the equilibrium price has increased. The equilibrium price has increased and the quantity has decreased. Got it? Okay. Two more cases we will do today and then we'll stop. Okay. Draw a diagram like this. P, Q, mark the equilibrium. P naught, Q naught. Okay. If supply is constant and demand increases, what will be the effect on the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity? Supply remains constant, or like just write supply here, but demand increases. What did you get? Quantity demanded increases and the price also increases, correct? So this is a paradoxical thing because many people who do demand curve, they are not able to reconcile this. What has happened? Price has increased and quantity demanded has also increased. Okay, just one last case we'll do and then we'll stop. Redraw the diagrams. Okay, this is also a good way to familiarize with drawing diagrams. Okay, demand, supply. Okay, and mark the equilibrium price P naught, Q naught. So supply is constant and demand decreases. Supply is constant and demand decreases. What would be the impact on equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity? No, we did increase in demand. हमने इंक्रीज इन डिमांड दिखाया है, अभी अपने को डिक्रीज इन डिमांड दिखाना है. Correct. Very good. So I'm seeing that students are able to do this. That's very good sign. Demand decreases, so it goes like this. And the new equilibrium is here. P1,
Contract.
Q1. Quantity has decreased and price has decreased. Okay. I'm stopping here. Okay.